The Curious Case of Ranu. Ranu lived in a tidy colonial bungalow with a wide veranda and a carefully maintained garden, the third house down from the main road. His house sat between the yellow walled Pilikoti and Geeti's grandfather's sprawling estate, each home distinct in its own way, but none quite as mysterious as Ranu's. Ranu was a quiet boy with a round face and cute cheeks. His hair was always neatly oiled and carefully side parted, giving him an air of primness. The nuns at Geeti's convent would have called him proper, the, the epitome of propriety. Indeed, Ranu seemed like the ideal child, always buried in books, always indoors, always absorbed. His parents, an older couple who rarely ventured outside, were perhaps too strict about his studies and had very little patience for anything they deemed childish, especially play. Geeti and her small gang, Chotu and Seema, would often pass by Ranu's house in the afternoon, when the elders took over their naps and the children roamed free. They would look over at him, seated on a wicker chair on his veranda, shaded by a bamboo chick meant to keep the summer sun away. He was either absorbed in his books or sketching in his drawing pad. The only sound was the occasional squeak of the heavy metal fan and its steady, soothing hum. "There he is again," Seema whispered as they approached his gate. Same spot, same chair. Ranu sat hunched over his drawing pad. He bit his lower lip as he concentrated, completely absorbed in whatever he was creating. "Why doesn't he come out to play?" Geeti wondered aloud, slowing her pace. Chotu, who had lived in the neighborhood the longest and seemed to know every kid in the vicinity, shrugged. "He is very padhaku," he said, tossing a pebble at the nearby amaltas tree. "So?" Geeti asked, glancing at Chotu. "Oh no, I've never seen him play with anyone," Chotu added, then scratched his head thoughtfully. "My amma says his parents think playing is a waste of time." "But everyone needs to play sometimes," Geeti said, studying Ranu's focused expression. "What do you think he's drawing?" "Probably boring stuff," Seema said dismissively, "like math problems or maps." "Or maybe," Geeti said, her curiosity growing, "something amazing." An idea began forming in her mind, the same kind that usually leads to adventures. "We should find out what he's doing over there." Geeti squinted. "Well, we should spy on him. Let's see what he does." "Should we throw a pebble at him and see if he looks up?" Chotu suggested, jumping down to find a small stone. "No, if we startle him, he might never want to be friends," Geeti said thoughtfully. Within minutes, they gathered bricks from construction site down the street and stacked them against Ranu's boundary wall. The wobbly tower was just tall enough to let them peek over the top, though they had to grip the wall tightly to keep them from tumbling down. From inside Ranu's garden, they must have looked like three heads bobbing up and down. The large gulmohar tree in the yard partly masked their view of Ranu, who was bent over his work with intense focus. He wasn't just doodling, he was creating something elaborate, moving his pencil with quick, confident strokes. "Can you see what he's drawing?" Chotu whispered. Geeti squinted, trying to get a better view. "Looks like... Is that a bird? No, wait." Suddenly, Ranu's head snapped up. Had he heard something? The three friends froze, hands gripping the warm stone of the wall. For a heart-stopping moment, Ranu seemed to look directly at them, though the gulmohar's branches created a screen of green between them. "Did he see us?" Seema breathed. But instead of calling out or looking alarmed, Ranu did something unexpected. He tore the drawing, folded it into a neat paper plane, and with a quick flick of his wrist, threw it in the air. It soared over the gulmohar tree, over the boundary wall, and landed softly in the dust of the lane. Then, to their amazement, Ranu smiled. A genuine, satisfied smile that transformed his serious face entirely. He gathered his things and disappeared into the house, leaving his empty chair swaying slightly in the afternoon breeze. Did you see that smile? Geeti whispered, already scrambling down from their perch. They waited until they were certain Ranu wasn't coming back, then rushed to retrieve the paper airplane. Geeti carefully unfolded it, smoothing out the creases with gentle fingers. What she revealed made all three children gasp. It was a detailed sketch of a magnificent peacock, its tail feathers spread wide in full display. Each feather was carefully shaded and textured, creating depth and movement. The bird seemed to be caught mid-dance, so full of life and energy that it looked ready to step right off the page. He's not just studious, Geeti said, staring at the drawing in wonder and showing it to Chotu and Seema. He's an artist, a real one. Look at how perfect this is, she murmured. He must have been working on it for hours. But why did he throw it away? Seema asked, puzzled. Geeti looked back towards the empty wicker chair moving slightly in the afternoon breeze. The thought stirred something in her chest. A recognition of loneliness she understood all too well. How many beautiful drawings had Ranu created while being alone? How many had he folded into airplanes, hoping someone might discover them? The children moved to the shade of the neem tree, drawing chalk lines on the ground and marking out the hopscotch squares. Seema proudly announced she would use her Geeti to play. That's cheating, everybody shouted in unison. You can't bring your own Geeti. Fine, fine, Seema said, pouting and slipping the smooth white marble stone back into her dungaree pocket. But I'll beat all of you anyways. As the afternoon wore on, the sun cast long shadows on the ground, the heat of the day finally beginning to ebb. The neem tree dropped its ripe yellow nimboli fruit, which squashed under the children's feet as they hopped through their game. The shadows stretched out across the yard, blending with the earth as the day drew to a close. Tomorrow, she said decisively, we are going to knock on Ranu's door and ask him to come out properly. What if his parents say no? Seema asked. Then we'll have to be more creative, Geeti replied, placing a hand on the carefully folded peacock drawing tucked into her pocket. That night, Geeti pinned the peacock drawing in her bedroom wall, right next to her own sketches. Tomorrow, she decided, they would find out what are the surprises Ranu had been keeping for himself.